Okay.
Okay, so for the viewers,
Hold on.
haven't put out one of these for a little while. It's been a busy summer for everyone, so I got balls in the air with other people. But today we're fortunate get to catch up with brother George Iranon, who is currently living in Spokane, Washington, right?
Spokane. Yes, sir.
And you have been there how long?
Since August of 1975. So it's
Wow.
been 50 years this month. I was probably arriving just a few days from today.
Okay.
So 50 years.
And my memory doesn't span 50 years real well, but I do remember driving up and visiting you. And I'm thinking it had to have been Spokane because you didn't live anywhere before you got to Spokane, right? You
That's
weren't on the
correct.
mainland. Yeah.
You and I forget who, it could have been Douglas Duvachel. You guys surprised me. You were in cahoots with my wife, Sean. And one day, there you were. It was such a delightful surprise.
Yeah. Oh, so anyway, to get a starting point for those that don't know, I know because I was there, but you started Kamehameha in what grade?
Seventh grade.
Okay.
But before
From
before I start, let me
uh
just say aloha to our classmates, that some that I haven't seen since high school. It's been such a joy, and I so appreciate, Kermit, the work that you've been putting into this labor of love and keeping us connected in the digital world. I really am grateful, and I know that many of our classmates are also so appreciative of the effort that you make. And a special thanks to your wife for all the time that you've been spending talking to people like me. So thank you. I really am grateful for the opportunity to catch up and talk stories just for a little bit.
yeah, because for me anyway, once I discovered that hey, distance is not a factor anymore because of the digital things we have available, I thought, okay,
Totally.
so we get to visit even if we don't get to visit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, face to face is always preferable, but video face to face is a good alternative. So thank you for
Right,
that.
right,
I'm
yeah.
really grateful. Anyway, I
So,
forgot the question.
no, just you started in seventh grade as a boarder. I know that. And you grew up on what island, for those that don't know?
I'm FBI. I was born in Kona, so I'm from Big Island.
Okay.
I was actually born in Honau, Kona. Grew up in Kealakekua. Went to Konawaina Elementary, and as I was thinking about my history, I remembered that one night at dinner, my dad, who was a police officer, asked our foster child, uh, who was a high schooler at the time, Elwood, to show him his hands. And so Elwood went like like this, palms up. And my dad said, "Turn him over." And so Elwood started to cry as he put his hands up, and on the back of his hand was a big cigarette burn.
Hmm.
And my dad said, "What happened?" Well, apparently, two rival gangs in Konawaina High School were trying to get Elwood to join their gangs, and he refused both of them. So one of them cornered him in the bathroom and burned him, which was their gang mark. And at the dinner table that night, I remember thinking, that's where I'm headed. I don't want to go to a school where I have to deal with that. I want a good education. I want a safe place to learn. A few weeks later, mom and dad asked me about this opportunity if I wanted to go to Honolulu to this thing called Kamehameha Schools and a program they called Explorations. So that summer, after my fifth grade year, I went for a week where I met Kai Hao and Josie Uwahinui, Philip Swain. And did you go
Yeah.
explorations?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh my Kai Kai 68. I still remember that. So you folks are some of the oldest people I've known outside of my family. And that's how I got to Kamehameha. That explorations was such an impactful and timely opportunity for me because I knew I didn't want to go to Konawaina High School.
So when you were at Konawaina Elementary, were there any of our actual classmates with you then?
Well, I was trying to remember because Kathy Chow and I were at the time, Kona, the District of Kona, only allowed one boy and one girl per year into the
Oh,
seventh
okay.
grade. And so Kathy Chow and I were the two representatives of Kona. I didn't know that until we got there and I saw Kathy. So yeah, Kathy was one of my friends. And after school, really young age, we would go to her home because her dad, Mr. Chow, was home. He was a woodworker, and they would watch us, but I would play around his wood pile because he was a woodworker and a skilled craftsman, carving bowls and that kind of stuff, and I would just play. But so that's why I remember Kathy Chow so well. Aloha, Kathy. So yeah, she was the only one from grade school that I knew going into Kamehameha.
And interestingly enough, just recently I found a photo my mom had brought up with her before she passed. And this is maybe kindergarten, maybe even pre-kindergarten, a picture of Kathy and I on Molokai holding a couple of puppies. And so I'm trying to do the math in my head. How long ago was that? That's like maybe 70
60.
years. Yeah, or at
Yeah, I mean,
least.
it's anyway.
So we are towards the end of our high school years. You're thinking about what you want to do. Obviously, Spokane comes up on your radar. What did you want to do at that point?
Well, Spokane came into my vision because Kurt and Becky Kekuna had graduated from Kamehameha and then from Whitworth, located here in Spokane. And so they came back to start young life in Hawaii. And Kamehameha was their beachfront, their beachhead. So during our junior year, I already knew that I wanted to come to the Pacific Northwest. I, passed up opportunity to play volleyball in the Pac 10 or 8, I forget, places like Pepperdine, which my brother ended up going to. But when I was a child, I remember reading a National Geographic article on the state of Washington. And it always stuck in my mind that I want to go there one day. And so during our junior year, we're participating with Young Life. Kurt and Becky, and they just celebrated the 50th anniversary of Young Life in Hawaii a year or two ago. And they were going to this camp in British Columbia, Canada, Malibu. But before that, they were going to bring a group of high schoolers from Hawaii to Spokane, Washington, because Becky had family here. And it was the 1974 World's Fair. So we played basketball against some of the faculty in Whitworth, and we beat them, which was fun. But I fell in love with Spokane, with the people. Uh, it was a beautiful July summer. I knew that it would get cold in the winter, but I didn't know what that meant to live in it. Right? You live in Minnesota, right? So my senior year, I decided I would come to Whitworth, and Harry Lake and I, or Holly Lake, ended up coming here together. And he went to culinary arts school after our freshman year, but I stayed and finished in 1979 with a degree in business.
Which of our classmates took that summer trip with you, the Malibu trip?
Well, Harry, Clyde Cowie, Kurt's cousin, Lucas Kakuna, who we
Remember
had grown
Lucas?
up
Yeah.
in Hilo. Kathy went, and there must have been 30 or so of us. I don't remember everybody.
Did Frank
Alika
go?
Forrest, who?
Frank Oliveira?
N- no, I don't remember that. I forget why. Oh, maybe I don't remember. That was 50 years ago, man.
Yeah,
But it was just
fortunate.
one of those impactful opportunities that opened up for me, thanks to the Kamehameha schools and Kurt and Becca in particular. So that brought me back here for school in August of 75 and been here ever since.
So you graduate in 79, a degree in business. What's your first opportunity that pops up? Do you fry burgers? Do you intern
Well,
somewhere?
I was engaged by the time I finished school. And Sean and I got married that November 17, 1979. And so this November is our 46th. Uh, but my first job was as an assistant manager at a Sherwin-Williams paint store. I was just trying to get, anything. But unfortunately, they had a layoff. They shut some stores down in the Pacific Northwest, and I lost my job to a senior assistant manager from the coast on the Seattle side. So I went into the 1980 Census Bureau. I ran special projects for them from Spokane to the Canadian border, from Idaho to central Washington. And then when the census was done, I was looking for work, and I drove by a community center. It was the American Indian Community Center, and I thought, I wonder if they think I'm a native Indian. I had been looking for work 20 and 30 hours a week. Unemployment in Spokane that time was 13%. Inflation was 13.5%. It was tough to find a job. They said, yeah, Native Hawaiians are part of the indigenous people group that the program covered. So they sent me on a job interview, and out of 300 applicants, I got hired by Career Path Services to work with dropout disadvantaged youth. So here I was, just turned 23, working with 16 to 21-year-olds who thought I was part of the program as a participant, not as a worker. But that began a 39-year career for me. I stayed at Career Path Services until February of 2020 when I retired.
And along the way, you advanced probably to the very top, huh?
Well, yeah, I worked with youth, I worked with disadvantaged adults, and then became a program manager, and then became the assistant director, the COO, and then ultimately was promoted as the CEO. So that was a real
Congratulations,
blessing.
man.
Well,
Oh,
it's
that's a
called,
true rise in career. I mean,
well, it was a matter of, like that game Survivor. I just had to outwit, outlast, and whatever the last three is, third thing. It was a real blessing. It became, it went from a job to a career to a calling. The God gave me a motto. I had been looking for something, a brand statement to identify who we were. And one day this thought came to me. We are breaking the spirit of poverty through the dignity of work. And from my earliest days of working with school dropout youth, my first 20 clients, I had two uh, serial murderers and one
wow.
serial rapist. These three people were on my caseload out of my first 20. And I made the best effort I could, a good faith effort to help change their lives. Unfortunately, because we all have the choices before us that we get to pick and choose, they made choices that ultimately seriously damaged their future. I mean, the serial rapist, a young man that I went to court for and, helped him get his GED, helped him get his first job ever, is still in a high security state penitentiary. So
Wow.
those opportunities and experiences really defined what I wanted to devote my life to. My dad was a police officer 27 years, and after he retired, he became the state director for corrections and public safety. He ran all the state penitentiaries and the sheriff's department. And I remember in Kona, all of these Filipino migrant workers, they were working in the coffee fields, they were working in the vegetable fields, and all these Hawaiian fishermen who worked at Miloli'i. We'd go visit them at their job, jump in the canoe, and go help them catch ahi and aku and opelo and whatever. They would come to our house and ask Dad for advice. Hey, I got this ticket, or I got arrested for a DUI. And Dad became a social worker. He was the first full-blooded Filipino police officer in Kona. And I watched these people ask for his help, and I watched him take time. Sometimes they would come at dinner time, so you'd just get up and go help. And that really helped me to define the kind of role I wanted to play in life. I didn't want to be a police officer. I saw the Polaroid pictures of all the crime scenes and the accident victims and that kind of stuff. I have an uncle who was a state Supreme Court justice, the first full Filipino American to be seated on a state Supreme Court in Hawaii, the late and honorable Benjamin Menor, my uncle. So he was trying to get me into West Point and go into law, but I kind of had a glimpse of what that looked like. So I really didn't know how to use my heart for the underprivileged and how to tap into this entrepreneurial spirit I had as a kid growing up in a rural agriculture based economy. We were growing vegetables and selling squash and pumpkins to the local grocery store. So this job became that. I was able to help the unemployed, dropout youth, unemployed adults, women on welfare, disabled veterans who needed help um, reconnecting to the community. But on the same time, I was also able to help businesses find employees. at some of the worst unemployment rates our city has seen, our nation has seen. And so this calling that became mine was really embodied in the opportunities I was given at Career Path Services. And I was really grateful that they kept me around for as long as I did. It was like I was a little kid that wouldn't let go of their older brother and you're hanging on everything. So, but that was a real blessing, and it helped define who I was as a person because I wasn't sure. So
None of us are really at the beginning.
totally, although we thought we all knew, you know,
Yeah. Ask me anything. I know it all.
that's right, that's
So
right.
so remind me, George, how many siblings do you have?
I am the oldest of five. My
Okay.
brother Jay, class of '76,
Hmm.
and then my last three, Kian, Patty, and Whitney, live on the Big Island.
Okay.
Kian has a 1,000-acre ranch in Volcano.
Wow.
Patty's retired from the state prison system corrections. Then my youngest brother, Whitney, is about to retire from Helco. So
Cool. And how many children do you have now?
we have three kids,
Mhm.
Jessica, Kalani, and Derek. They're all married. We have eight wonderful grandchildren, ages
Whoa.
19 to 1. So it's kind of spread out, but I told my daughter and daughter-in-laws that I actually wanted 10. I said, it doesn't matter. You guys get to do the math, split them up, 3, 3, 4, or 10 and 0, 0, whatever. I just want 10. So I'm still hoping for the last two.
Well,
They
I tell
they
you
tell
what,
me, good luck with that, Dad.
enjoy them while they last, because I have
Oh,
nine and
totally.
the youngest is already 17. So,
Oh, youngest. Wow.
yeah. So, like I say, it's going to fly by. I'm sure you probably are already aware, but
Yeah.
you're going to blink a few times and that 1 year old will be 22 asking you for advice. So,
Well, it's like 50 years. When did that happen?
exactly.
It's humbling to look back over, I just turned 68 last week. It's humbling to see how your life can seem like it's going so slowly and so quickly at the same time. Mom and dad are still alive. They live in Hawaii Kai with my brother Jay. Dad's 92, mom's 88. They both have dementia. We were just there 3 weeks ago. That's why I wasn't at the class reunion. I try to take as much time and spend it with mom and dad.
Yeah.
But for the first time of going, we go 3 times a year to visit them. For the first time, mom did not utter one word of English. She verbalized a lot. She talked and she would hum and she would sing. She'd make motions, but not one word of English. She hasn't recognized who I am, who my brother is that she lives with for a few years. So it's those moments when she and I can sit on the couch, just hold hands and be together. That's really become a a highlight for me in terms of being able to spend mom. They say dementia is the long goodbye. And dad is still he's still got some cognitive reasoning abilities, but you can tell when he starts to slip. But mom is, for all intents and purposes, in her own lovely paradise of a world. So those things get me thinking about 50 years, 92, 88, and it gives me pause for thinking about a 50-year class reunion or people like you that I met in the fifth grade, that stuff. And it gives you a fresh glimpse of the fragility of life, how short
Yeah.
it can be.
From
68 sounds really old, but it's really a drop in the bucket.
from 2010 till 2020, I worked in maintenance at a long-term healthcare facility, and I could
Oh,
see
yeah.
daily, the effects of dementia and Alzheimer's. And our dear brother Taylor Kaina is suffering right now
Oh,
through,
yeah. I didn't know.
yeah, it's fairly advanced too. I don't know how much
Uh,
recognition there was there, but he was present, and we got to share a lot of aloha with him on the evening, at least, that the classmates got together. So it it scares me. It is what it is. Our future is already plotted, but I just I hate to think that I would no longer remember loved ones, people near and dear to our hearts, just
yeah. I've spent some time, my wife, Sean, and I have talked about this many times, and um, every once in a while, I will call a family meeting with Sean and I, our three children, and their spouses, and we have talked about some of these issues, estate planning for us and what we want, end of life decisions that you make when you create a will or revocable living trust, that stuff. And the last big one we had was about 2 or 3 years ago. This past Monday, we were having a family dinner. Sean makes dinner for our Spokawaians, and we were talking. You were just catching up. We meet at least once a week and talk stories. But one of my sons and his wife both said how much they appreciated our willingness to talk about these things because their parents didn't didn't feel comfortable talking about their death and their estate thoughts and things like being 92 and 88 and not being able to recognize people that you love. So we have taken intentional time to have those conversations. I told them that at our last visit, I wasn't confident that I would see mom again. So I said my goodbyes and I thanked her. I just had my birthday, and thank you for the Facebook thing. But I realized just a few years ago that a birthday is really a celebration for two people. The one that got born, the birth day, was the easy one. The one that carried that baby for 9 months and then went through labor, I mean, that's the hero right there. So on my birthday, I I have recently been more thoughtful about my mom. And any person who has a birthday, I have gravitated toward thinking about their mom. So I think about my daughter, my daughter-in-law who gave birth. We celebrate the birthday parties of the grandkids, but I always make sure to acknowledge and celebrate the mom who gave life to the one we're celebrating.
that's a neat and novel concept. I like it.
Well, you know, when you're in the birthing room, and the best I can do is feed ice chips and say, breathe, breathe. I mean, I am so grateful. I don't, the superhuman power, they call it, what, I don't know what they call that, the superheroes. The, for women having babies, they're my heroes.
Yeah. It would probably eliminate half the men if men had to give birth. So
Oh, yeah, I would, no kidding, no kidding.
now I
But
always like to ask it, it's pretty interesting also. So you met Sean at Whitworth.
No, I met Sean at church.
Oh,
I
okay.
had I had started drinking and doing drugs in high school. In fact, it was the celebration of song contest night. After we sing, I just and you live right across the hall from me. For you know this better than most. I really started making horrible choices, low type choices. And I always admired you and Douglas for the choices you made. And when I got to Whitworth, it got worse. I was drinking every day. I took an assessment once about, are you an alcoholic? And fortunately, I missed two. I said, no, I don't qualify that one. I can't check that box. I checked the box for everything else. And the only two questions I couldn't say that I could check off was, is this affecting your marriage? Well, fortunately, I wasn't married. And is this affecting your job? Unfortunately, I was a full-time college student. But one day I was invited to church by a guy from the Philippines who was studying at Whitworth. And he too had come to the World's Fair in 1974 as a performer, and he was adopted by about 70 local business people who wanted him to pursue a career in opera. And so we met at Whitworth, and he just began to talk to me about the same things I was hearing at Young Life. And so he invited me to church one day, and I said, yeah, the night before I stayed up, had a bad hit of acid, was smoking, drank, too much, went to bed at about or passed out about 4 a.m. that morning. But something woke me up at 9 o'clock that morning, and I thought, oh, I got to go to church. I told him I would go. So I went, and that day, something happened inside where I heard the voice of God and I felt the love of his presence. And so I accepted Jesus as my Savior that day. That was March 20th, 1977. And for a while, I was pretty good about, I went cold turkey. And I don't remember if that was the time you guys came and visited me. I think somebody visited me from high school, and I thought it was you. But
Yeah,
I
and you
came
were
home.
already past that date
Okay.
because you were voicing the changes and
Yeah.
the draw and
Well, I went home for the summer the next year and back, got back into that habit choices. And I'm not blaming any of my friends but I was supposed to go to Europe that 2000 or 1978. I was on a team that represented the Western United States in volleyball, and we're going to go on a 13 country 5 week tour to play some of these Olympic teams and Olympic development teams. But 1 week before we were supposed to leave, we were told that we didn't have enough money. We had done fundraising for the whole year, but the US dollar had devalued so greatly against the currencies of Eastern Bloc countries, Eastern Europe countries, that we were not able to go. And I took a walk. I was supposed to go home. And I just felt like God said, make Spokane your home. So I said, well, okay. But if I do, I'm going to need a place to live. I'm going to need first month's rent, and I'm going to need a job. That was about 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. I go back to our Sunday evening service, and in the middle of the first song, Mrs. Betty Guillory, this older African American woman. She must have been like 90. Comes up to me and she puts a crumpled up check in my hand. She said, "God told me to give this to you." I didn't look at it. I put it in my pocket. After the service, our youth group, our college age group leaders were saying goodbye. And I said, "No, I think God wants me to stay in Spokane for the summer, and I want to do that." And without batting an eye, he says to his wife and to me, "You need to live with us." I said, "No." They had three boys, and they had already taken in two other young men that I was friends with. I said, "You got a house full of seven." "No." I said, "Well, okay. What? I want to pay rent. I'm not just going to freeload." And he goes, "No, you rent will be $50 a month." So I go back to my car. I fish my keys out of my pocket, and I remember the check. Open it up from Mrs. Guillory, and it's for $50. The next morning, I go to
Wow.
the grocery store. School is out now, so there's campus is closed. I was staying in an apartment with a friend. I go to a grocery store and run into another friend. He says, "Hey, what are you doing this summer?" I said, "I'm looking for a job." He says, "Well, good. I'm the manager of a tire store right up the street. Come work for me." And within less than 18 hours, I had had an answer to my three requests. I need a place to live, I need first month's rent, and I need a job. That became a lifelong companionship with the Lord. I mean, He has just changed my life. Sean would not have had the time of day for me had something not changed in who I am. The Lolo choices that I make, I still make them, but they're not that kind of, that kind of self-destructive behaviors. And so I don't remember why I'm down this track, but
We talked about your initial meeting with Sean,
oh yeah, yeah.
and
So
and I thought it
we
was
met
through
at
school, but
church. No, she was one of those kids in the college age group. We had I don't know, 80, 100 young people. So, and fortunately, uh, we dated for about 17 days before I proposed. And
wow.
she said yes. So
Now,
we
what
had
I'm
no,
always curious about, George, is like when I'm talking to a local person, like one of our classmates, and they end up choosing a partner who did not grow up in Hawaii. I gotta ask, is Sean pretty open-minded when it comes to culture and
oh yeah.
diet and that kind of thing?
Well, Sean is a very health conscious person. She's probably the most disciplined uh, exerciser I've ever known. She was already in great health. She is a runner and fitness stuff. So she eats really healthy food. And as you know, many of the menu items in Hawaii, local food, are not the healthiest. But she has, the mantra was take at least one bite, at least try. And so she's had opihis. At our wedding reception in Hawaii, my family played a joke on her and gave her the most prized possession of the pig that had been put in cooked in an imu. And they tied a ribbon around the pig's tail, set it on her plate, made a big to do about how this is the epitome of honor. You get the tail. Pigs only have one tail, and she started eating it and quickly realized that people were laughing, and so she's tried Filipino dinagoan, which is blood with small intestines and pig
That's
tripe, and
probably one of my top two favorite things to eat.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, she is more than open. She's just been a trooper. Hawaii has some really unique food items that people consume. And I keep telling her, my favorite kind of food is peasant food, which is close to the ground or close to the ocean. And you get to eat everything but the oink. And she was so willing, but over time she's recognized when some local guy was trying to pull a fast one on this Holly girl, and so she's become very good. But the traditions, she's been very respectful. Kona is one of her favorite places to visit. She loves Kona. So yeah, I remember the first time our kids were old enough to understand. We took them to Hawaii, visit the family, and right off the plane, it's automatic. You just click into Pidgin English. They had a father who spoke relatively decent, proper English. But as soon as I kick into Pidgin English, they're like, "What happened to Dad? Who is that guy? And what is he saying?" So, yeah, there is a cultural shift. I remember when I first got to Whitworth, people were asking me when I learned English. People asked me uh, how I like America. And we were born in the territory of Hawaii, right? That's what it says on our birth certificate. So I would say, yeah, I wasn't born in this country. I was born in the territory of this country. And people would get confused. But I remember making this decision early in my freshman year of college. I am going to learn proper English and I will speak it as well as of a Holly person or an American born person. And so I really worked at it. I mean, Mrs. Arai, my third grade teacher, had a mean pidgin English accent. And when she taught proper English in the third grade, it was like heavy accent, you know. And we would joke, we wanted to be one English teacher when we grew up, but it was like that in Mrs. Arai's class.
Yeah, it's difficult. Do you by chance remember Natalie Mattering?
Yeah,
Yeah, she
her
joined
her
us in 10th
her
grade.
brother. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, her brother was in our dorm as a
that's
senior
right.
when we were freshmen.
That's right.
But I remember her pigeon was probably as deep as I ever heard in my life.
That's
Then we
true.
had a talent show that year. She breaks out a guitar, and suddenly
I
she
remember
sounds like
that.
she was born in Utah.
I remember
You
that.
know, I went, wow, how did that happen? I mean, she sang these songs, zero accent, full on clear English. Then the minute that guitar went down, she was back in Pawilo again.
I That's true. I'd forgotten that.
So
That's
yeah, I know
funny.
exactly what you mean. Even in 7th grade too, I used to have to go take speech classes for my Hawaiian island dialect, they refer to it as. So that
Yeah,
was something. Now I'm interested
yeah.
though, your kids, are they open to Hawaiian local food and
Oh, totally. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean they
no
love everything.
no
They,
picky eaters in your house, huh?
no, that's not the way we were raised. We had parents who were children in the wake of the Great Depression. I mean, both my parents were born in the decade of the Great Depression, but they were children, and their awareness of life occurred just months and years after the depression. So mom and dad still have a case of spam in the cupboard. their freezer and refrigerator is still just full on because we learn about those uh, not just habits, but the state of mind about being a recycler. I still remember mom washing the plastic bags from bread loaves, a loaf of bread, and doing all that stuff. So helping our kids try to break some of my own state of mind about poverty and just eating everything was a real challenge. But they love raw fish, and the blood dinaguan is probably not one of their favorites. But I can tell you that at some point, they're growing up and they are developing their likes and dislikes. I lost a family vote 4-1, and I was forbidden from having a jar of bagoong because it just drove everybody out of the house. I couldn't even eat it outside in the backyard. I mean, it had to be gone. But
Dad has to be in a different zip code from us to be eating that.
yeah, I just this year bought a bottle of Patisse, and I make sure I keep it away from inquiring minds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but the kids they love everything Hawaiian. They love everything Hawaii. Yeah.
Now I've seen here and there, primarily through Facebook, that I think is it Derek that's the landscaper kind of?
Yeah, he's got a side hustle. He's a
Okay.
vice president at a credit union here, but
Okay.
he and a college buddy of his started a landscape or yard company. They basically uh, do stuff in the spring to get lawns ready, and then stuff in the fall to get it ready for winter.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what does Kalani do?
Clowney is a salesperson for a HVAC company, heating ventilation systems. He has found a calling in the sales field, and he's quite successful at it. Um, and he's been highly recruited by a number of companies who have gotten to know him. If you're in the sales field, you know that people tend to be migratory, and when people go, they remember who they would like to recruit to go with them. And so he's had wonderful opportunities. Our daughter, Jessica, sells real estate. Um, her husband, David, has a roofing company. Uh,
Okay.
Clowney's wife, Hannah, is from New Zealand. She's a Kiwi and is taking time off. Just her company was doing some downsizing, and she volunteered to just get some health issues done. And then our youngest son married Sammy. She's a physical therapist specializing in pelvic floor health for women.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds fairly specific when you're choosing, where do I want to focus on, huh? Let's try
Well,
that pelvic floor health thing.
and I guess it's a thing because she's one of the few PTs in Spokane that specializes in that. So she's got more clients or patients than she can handle. She's quite good at it. So we're really proud of our kids, all six of them.
So they
Just
all have stayed in the Spokane area?
the two boys live in Spokane, and Kalani, well, all three of our kids went on a 1 year mission trip to New Zealand in 2011. And after the year was over, Jessica and Derek came back to the States. Kalani stayed because he had met Hannah. They lived there for a few years, and then moved back to Spokane. So yeah, they're all here. It's been a blessing to be able to have a weekly Monday night, mom's dinner that she makes on Mondays. And so it's really it's a really good setup for us. We're really blessed for the opportunity to have proximity. So
Well, especially too, having had 9 grandkids, that proximity to the grandchildren on a
totally,
consistent basis.
totally,
Oh, I
which
mean,
is
because
something we didn't have. My kids growing up in Spokane, 2,700 miles away from the rest of our family. It really, it's one of the downsides to living so far away.
yeah, I hear you, man.
But yeah,
But it still sounds like it's all worked out so well.
we're blessed. I mean, I still remember that day God invited me to make Spokane my home, and it's been a wonderful place for us as a married couple, a wonderful place for the family raising children and grandchildren. We were just talking about that dynamic. When you live in a community for as long as we have, you establish not only deep roots, but deep friendships that hopefully will last the rest of my life. So
Now I do know because last summer I got the opportunity to pop in and see him. I know Kaihe Hao lives in Spokane still.
he does, yeah. Kai still working at Gonzaga. Don't get to see him as often as I would like. In fact, his birthday is in 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hopefully I have that down. Let's see.
you probably do. You got everybody's birthday down, which
Well,
I
I
also
try to
appreciate.
because it's nice to have, yeah, the 23rd. Okay. Oh, before I forget, I was going to ask earlier, your anniversary is it the 17th or the 18th?
17,
Okay,
November 17.
I think I have that wrong. So
Well, as long as I have it right, I think we're going to be good.
my oldest daughter's husband decided that they would get married on his birthday, which I look back and go, oh, that's a clever man, you know.
So
That
he remembers,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, I did have to correct this. I had you on the 18th. I would have missed you by 24 hours.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Thank you.
So you retire? Go ahead.
Who is the our classmate that put together that beautiful tribute for classmates who have passed away?
Doug Panee.
Well, thanks to Doug. I mean, that was such a touching tribute. I mean, I actually watched that for more than one time, just remembering people that I still have fond memories of. That was another, poignant moment for me in the memory lane trip that I was taking while you guys were partying up in Hawaii. That was really touching. So, Doug, thank you for that.
Well, let me share a little surprise with you too. Our friend Doug Dumichel. Now think about how we knew him in high school. He actually volunteers and runs his music program, and he performs and sings in public in front of people. Can you
Oh, wow.
imagine?
Are you kidding me? You got to, have you done one of with him?
No,
You got to get
he's
Duva on.
I know he's on the fence, but I'll get him. I spent some time with him after the reunion. I went to Kauai for a week,
Oh,
saw
you did.
him, Marilyn, and then I've got a Coast Guard buddy from San Antonio that lives in Kapa'a. But I mean, I was stunned. He gets up, guitar in hand, nice. In fact, we were hanging out in the lobby of the Ala Hotel when events weren't happening. And Philip Swain and Kai Hao, Jeff Noah, just bunches of people would jump in and Kanika Pila. And Doug got up and did two songs.
I want a recording. I want to listen to that.
I was so stunned, like, wow, he would be in the closet with the door shut if he ever, so
He
it's
was, dude was such a shy, but he was a deep soul, or still is, sounds like.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he's very focused. He's retired from being a doctor at the VA, but
Oh,
he
nice.
religiously gets up and works out. He has a partner so that they have accountability and he has to go. And, he's still out there in his water sports, surfing, body surfing. So
Oh, yeah.
he's keeping himself well together. So, but it was, yeah, his public performing musically just almost
That's
knocked me
amazing.
out. It almost knocked me unconscious, and
That's
he had to
amazing.
revive me. But
I
yeah,
would have
it's
loved,
neat. So, and there's so
I would
many
have,
others. Once I recognized who they were during the reunion, that just so many memories come back. That's kind of a
really.
big portion of why I enjoy these because there's a lot of these I've done with people that I never exchanged three words with in high school. And you get to talking to them and fascinating what they've
Yeah,
done
yeah,
and what they've
totally.
become. One of the ones that really sticks in my mind because of how much I didn't know and didn't appreciate, and the physical changes. Do you remember Thomas Chun? He goes by Camuela
I,
now.
yeah, we weren't very close. He ran in other circles. Yeah, I knew of his presence.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been in bodybuilding competitions, and he must have been like 115 pounds in high school. So that physical,
It's his,
and we are changing. So
isn't it his birthday like this week sometime?
today,
Today? Okay.
yeah,
Happy birthday, Camuela.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
we had a class of about 350 people. So it was hard enough to just get around in our class. You add three other classes that size, a campus, upper and lower campus combined with about 1,500 people. That's a lot of people.
and I think as boarders, we encountered the other classes more than a day student would, so we made
Totally,
friends
totally.
outside of our class.
Yeah. Like Natalie's older brother, he was in our dorm. He was one of the senior leaders that you just didn't irritate.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was grateful because he did pull me out of some very
Oh,
heated spots every
totally.
now and then. So,
Yeah. But you're right. The interclass connections as a boarder was really helpful. I do remember my senior year, I was a signature away from joining the Marines, JROTC school. And over the years, we were there during the Vietnam era. And I remember every once in a while, word would get back to campus. Oh, and somebody would name an alumni who went into the military and fought for our country, losing their lives. Well, the night before my signing with the Marine, we hear about another alumni, and I don't remember who that person was, but I knew him. He was a boarder, and I couldn't sleep that night. I went into the recruiter's office with three of our ROTC instructors, and I said, "You probably heard, but our alumni, was killed in action. I can't, I can't do that. I'm not. I mean, we had grown up watching the 6 o'clock news broadcast the horrors of war, flamethrowers, Agent Orange, bombings, naked children screaming down the street, running from some impending danger. I mean, that was our constant companion every night. I remember as a child, 10-year-old, 8-year-old child watching this raw footage of the horrors of war. And that came to a screeching crescendo for me, and I couldn't do it. So, yeah, the dorm experience was really a special addition to our educational experience.
Yeah. So yeah, it's attending the 50th also revived a lot of memories that I had not even pulled out of a box in the back of my mental closet for
For real.
50 years. And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden they come back crystal clear like it was yesterday.
yeah. So many good memories. I mean, we had, I think, just an outstanding experience. The 70s was just a great time to grow up. But the schools gave us so many opportunities, and I still feel like the people that we had in our class were just a special group. I mean, I'm really proud of the achievements of our classmates, and thanks to you, I'm hearing things that I didn't know. 50 years is a long time to live a quality life, and I'm really happy for so many achievements and successes that haven't been published yet. So really proud
Yeah.
about
A
that.
lot of us have really accomplished and come a long way.
Totally,
So
totally.
and it's inspiring in your case to hear how there was such a flip in the positive direction early on. I mean, imagine if
Yeah.
you had wasted 35 of those 50 years,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
unblessed and unwanted and unloved. It's different. So
Yeah.
that's something to be
Every
grateful for.
every once in a while, my dad would say, "Hey, I met one of your classmates," and he'd name somebody. They were, a big part of the New Hope church family with Wayne Cordero. Uh, I especially remember he was especially attentive to Crystal Rose. Hi,
That, yeah,
Crystal, because she was a Hilo girl. So her dad worked with my dad on the police force, and we would see them on, police events and parties and that kind of stuff. Hey, saw your classmate Crystal in the paper, and he sometimes he'd read me the articles during the days where long distance calls cost you so many pennies a minute. He would read the whole article, and at first he'd go, "Yeah, really good for a Hilo girl," but as she continued, my dad was so proud of anybody from Hilo to the Big Island doing so well. So it was just a wonderful way to relate, through the storytelling of success.
yeah. So how do you keep from getting bored now that you're retired completely?
Well, we have a mile-long bucket list for Sean and I. In fact, on Monday, we're going to fly to Vancouver, Canada, in British Columbia. We love the city, and we're going to go holo holo. We got 8 grandkids and 6 children. So we spend a lot of time with them. I always look forward to the call of, "Hey, mom and dad, we got a problem with the babysitter. Can you guys come and watch Noah or watch Luke or Nolan or something?" Um, Staying active in the church, just helping people. This I was just counting. This year, I've helped Talkstars with 11 different people who have employment needs. They lost a job due to downsizing, or they need to change jobs or careers. So I'm able to use my career experience doing that kind of stuff. And then just working out. And Sean and I took about an hour-long walk this morning around the neighborhood. 6 a.m. It's nice and quiet, except for the dogs that we wake up. Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Cool. And I have seen sessions you posted online where it's evident that your kids have inherited a lot of your musical talent.
They have. I mean, we have been blessed to have a vision of a family that would play music together, that would worship God together. I mean, it's been one of the great blessings for me having children who all love God, who worship Him. We have my best music band is my kids backing us up and Sean and I singing. Our in-laws, the son-in-law and the two daughters, all love music. They all love God, and so just being able to use that has been a real blessing, incredible blessing.
Yeah. Now, I do remember vividly your talent with the ukulele in high school. Did you play guitar in high school?
I took a guitar class because it was the easiest class to get an A.
I heard from Sam Henderson.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had to perform for the class. We had like a ho'olaulea type thing in high school, so everyone in the class had to perform a a guitar solo for the ho'olaulea, and Sam and I did a song. He was way better than I was, so I kind of play softly and let him carry the song. But yeah, he always said that he because you put my birthday on the Facebook thing, he remembered that song. I'm still amazed that he could remember the song, but yeah, I still play ukulele and guitar. I mean, I am amazing. As long as nobody around, I am just killing it. But you get an audience, I fall apart.
From what I've seen, they've all gone over well. So,
Yeah, yeah,
golly. Well, I know you've got a meeting to come to.
I
I have
do.
enjoyed every second, brother. It's been way too long, but I
Yeah.
feel full again.
Well, thank you. I mean, you're one of those folks from junior high, not just high school, that I think of fondly. Kai being in Spokane, I get to see him every once in a great while. And there's so many other people, and like you, I look at the faces of our class, and there's such a depth of fondness for the time we spent our lives together. I'm just so happy that there's so many who still have an aloha for our class and the community that we established when we were kids, really. So, but thank you for your effort again. I really appreciate the
Sure,
time.
my
And
man. All the best to you. Take care. And my favorite saying these days, especially, is a hui ho.
amen.
We don't want to do the goodbyes.
That's right. That's right.
I'll
Well,
look
thank
around
you.
and see if I can find video of Doug playing music.
I would love that.
I'll
I would
send it to
love
you, my
that.
man.
Okay. Kermit,
Take
thank
care.
you. Love you, brother.